That's right. Today we're going to learn how to do forward rolls. What's up? Tim Gillette here, Morning Star Jiu Jitsu, Denver, Colorado. And we're going to start doing our series on our very basic movements for warm-ups that we do before each class. And today we're going to start with our forward rolls. All right. So a lot of people when they first come in, they think of a forward roll kind of like a somersault. Something we did back in kindergarten maybe or something like that. But what I see people do is they put their hands down and they try to roll straight over the top of their head, right? They go here, they put their head down, and they start to try to roll over the top of their head right there. Now, some very bad things about this. Number one, your head is impacting on the mat. As you're rolling, you're putting pressure across your neck right there, and we don't want to do any of that, right? So when we're doing our forward rolls, we want to make sure we're rolling over our shoulder and kind of across our back right here. So when I teach people how to do forward rolls, I start by picking a shoulder to roll over. In this case, I'm going to roll over my right shoulder. So I'm going to post up my right foot on the mat, and my left leg will stay down. Now I'm going to make a triangle here with my hands, and I'm going to turn and open up my elbow here, so my elbow is kind of leading the direction I want to roll. And my thumbs are going to be parallel to my foot. So my foot is pointing the direction I want to go, my thumbs are parallel to my foot, and my elbow is leading where I want to go. All right? From here, I can tuck my chin. And when I tuck my chin, I have this protective ring around my head and my neck that's created from my arms and my shoulders and my back. So when I tuck my chin and start to roll, now I can push off with this back foot and roll forward and get my shoulder on the mat. Now, when I do this, I want my hips to stay up so they roll over the top. I see some new students, and I think that sometimes it's just kind of a confidence thing, or sometimes it just feels kind of awkward to go upside down. And so they end up doing kind of a log roll. So I'll show you what they do. They go here, they push off, but they let their hips go down. They don't bring their shoulder down to the mat, they let their hips go down, and then they end up rolling across their back right here. We want to make sure we're up over the shoulder. So, foot position, hand position, elbow pointing out. I'm going to tuck my chin, I'm going to push off, I'm going to make sure my shoulder gets on the mat. And you can see as my shoulder gets towards the mat, my hips come up, right? And that's what we want. We don't want the hips to go down, we want the hips to come up. So as I'm rolling, now I roll over that shoulder, and look where I end up. Right back exactly where we started. Now, if you've been watching any of my previous videos, we did a drill where we talked about getting up from your back, tucking this foot under, and rolling up over it. Well, we can use exactly that when we go for our forward roll, and we end up in that same starting position. That's what we're doing. We're tucking that leg under, and we're ending up back in that starting position. So, we're here, knee down, knee up, thumbs parallel to my foot, elbows leading the way. I'm going to tuck my chin, I'm going to roll over my shoulder so my hips come up, and as I roll, I'm going to tuck this leg in so I can roll right back up to the same starting position. Roll through, tuck that foot in, boom. Now I'm right back in that same starting position, and that's what we're looking for, because then we can just continue to work into the next roll if we want to right there. So, right shoulder is the one I'm going to roll over, so right knee is up. Left knee is down, and I'm on my toes back here. My foot pointing in the direction that I want to roll. I make my triangle, my thumbs parallel on the mat next to my foot right here. I'm tucking my chin so I get that protective ring around my head and my neck. I'm going to push off and roll shoulder on the mat, hips up, and as I roll through, I'm keeping this back leg tucked in so I can roll right up into my starting position again. Boom, right there, and then we can hit our next roll. All right. So again, boom. You can see I can kind of throw myself into that roll as you get more confident with it. You can kind of dive into it by bringing those hands into position. And we end up right here, starting in that exact same spot where you can roll into the next forward roll that you want to do. Now, most people are more comfortable on one side than the other. So I just did my right side. Now let's do our left side. So now left leg is up. I make my triangle, thumbs parallel to my foot. Got my protective ring here. I can tuck my head, push off, get that roll. So again, shoulder hits the mat, hips come up, I roll over, the back leg stays tucked in so I can roll right back up into that starting position. Boom, right there. One more. All right, so that's our basic forward roll when you're on your knees that we use in jiu-jitsu, and you shouldn't be rolling over your head or your neck really. It should really just be across your shoulder, your upper back, and then rolling up over your leg back into that same starting position, all right? All right, so now let's talk about how we can use that forward roll from a standing position. And this might be a little bit more realistic depending on if you're competing and you're starting on your feet, if you're in a self-defense situation maybe, things like that. So if I'm on my feet, maybe I get pushed from behind or something like that, I don't want to fall forward and catch myself and risk falling onto my face, injuring my hands, my wrists, things like that. Could dislocate an elbow. It's much safer to roll through. Think about seeing people who do parkour or something like that. If they're jumping building to building, whatever it is, when they land, they're rolling. And that's to take away the impact from coming straight down. And instead, when you land and you roll, it kind of distributes that energy over your body as you roll. So you don't take as much impact on the body. So it's really important to get good at forward rolls and to be able to feel confident doing them from a standing position as well. So we did them from the knees. Once you're really comfortable there, we can do them standing. And it's really the same idea here. If I'm going to roll over my right shoulder, I'm going to have my right leg as my lead leg. I'm still going to make my triangle with my hands here. And as I'm falling forward into my roll, I'm putting my hands in that position where they're going to go thumbs parallel to my foot, my elbow is my lead, and I can roll over my shoulder then. And you can start kind of like low here first, right? You can start on your feet and kind of squat down and go into a forward roll at first. And then you can kind of start doing it higher and higher and higher until you can kind of do it from that standing position. You can almost kind of dive into it, right? And you can roll through. And I'm still coming up that same way with that foot tucked underneath. And that allows me to get back up into that standing position right away. So I might be here. Maybe someone pushes you, whatever the case is. You trip. As you're falling forward, instead of catching yourself with the hands, you want to roll through. And you can end up right back on that standing position right there. You can turn and see what just happened. But we did it. We didn't get injured. And we rolled over that shoulder, the head, the neck, never hit the ground. It didn't take any impact. And we stay safe the whole time. So you can use this to escape some takedown attempts if you're in a competition. You can use it kind of, I've seen people talk about using this when they have fallen off a bike or they fall off something and they end up rolling through and they don't get injured, right? So lead leg is my right leg. I want to roll over my right shoulder. As I'm going into it, my hands are going into my position with that triangle and I'm opening that elbow up to be my lead so I can roll over my shoulder from the standing position. Very, very similar to what we did on the knees. And then we can roll through right back up into that standing position. All right, so that's our basic forward rolls. In my classes for the introductory to jiu-jitsu students when they're brand new, we work on them on the ground first, rolling over the left and right side, and then eventually we're going to get to where you can do them in that standing position so you can feel confident rolling through no matter where you're at, right? So give those a try. You should be able to practice those at home. I know when I first started jiu-jitsu, I practiced these in the basement on carpet. Not necessarily the standing ones, but the ones on the ground from the knees, just to get used to rolling over both left and right shoulders right there, all right? So take care, and we're gonna get into back rolls on the next video.